Han-Soo Kim stood at the window of the lunar mining facility, looking out at the endless dark surface of the moon. The Earth hung in the black sky like a blue and white jewel. As the facility's chief engineer, he had seen this view many times before, but it still made him feel small. The mining facility was quiet today. Most of the workers were sleeping in their quarters, as it was the night cycle. Han-Soo liked these quiet times. He could check the machines without anyone bothering him. The only sounds were his boots on the metal floor and the soft humming of the air filters. He walked down the long hallway to check on Machine Room 4. This was his normal routine. Every day, he would check all the machines to make sure they were working right. The mining robots needed constant care, just like pets. If something broke, the whole operation would stop, and Earth would not get its shipment of moon minerals on time. Han-Soo reached the control panel and started his usual checks. Everything seemed normal at first. The screen showed all green lights. The mining robots were working well. The oxygen levels were good. The power systems were running smoothly. Then he saw something strange on one of the screens. There was a light that shouldn't be there. At first, he thought it was just a reflection, maybe from his flashlight or one of the status lights. But this light was different. It moved across the screen like a flowing river of colors. Earth Base, this is Chief Engineer Kim, he said into his radio. I'm seeing something unusual on the dark side monitors. Can you confirm? He waited for an answer, but all he heard was static. This was odd. The communication system never failed. They had 3 backup systems just in case. Han-Soo tried again, but still got no response. The strange light grew bigger on his screen. Now he could see it wasn't just a light. It was a ship. But it wasn't like any ship he had ever seen before. Its surface looked like crystal, and it seemed to bend the starlight around it in impossible ways. The ship was huge, maybe 3 times the size of their mining facility. Han-Soo's heart began to beat faster. He wasn't trained for this. Nobody was trained for this. In all his years working on the moon, the strangest thing he had ever seen was a broken mining robot trying to dig in circles. But this was something else entirely. He reached for the emergency alert button. His hand was just inches away when everything changed. A beam of soft blue light surrounded him. It didn't hurt. It felt warm, like standing in sunlight on a spring day. Han-Soo tried to move, but his body wouldn't listen. The world around him began to fade away, like a dream when you're waking up. When his vision cleared, he wasn't in the mining facility anymore. The room around him was unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls seemed to be alive, covered in patterns that moved and glowed like the northern lights he had seen in pictures. The air smelled different too, clean, but with a hint of something sweet he couldn't name. Han-Soo realized he could move again. He touched one of the walls carefully. It felt warm and slightly soft, like touching a flower petal. The wall rippled under his fingers, sending waves of light spreading outward. Please don't touch the biosurface. It's sensitive to human contact. The voice came from behind him, speaking perfect Korean. Han-Soo turned around slowly, afraid of what he might see. But nothing could have prepared him for what he saw. She stood in the doorway, though it wasn't really a doorway, more like an opening that had appeared in the living wall. She looked almost human, but not quite. Her skin was slightly transparent, like very thin ice, and underneath he could see patterns of light moving, similar to the walls. Her eyes changed color as she watched him, shifting through shades of blue and green and purple. I am Commander Yuri, she said, still speaking Korean without any accent. You are safe here, Han-Soo Kim. Han-Soo found his voice, though it came out shaky. How do you know my name? How are you speaking Korean? We have been watching your facility for some time, Commander Yuri said. She moved into the room, and Han-Soo noticed she didn't exactly walk. She seemed to glide, her feet barely touching the floor. As for the language, we learned it, just as we learned all Earth languages. Communication is important to us. Where am I? Why did you bring me here? Hansu tried to keep his voice steady. He wasn't sure if he was succeeding. "You are aboard my ship, the Starlight Seeker," Commander Yuri said. "And you are here because we need you to be here. Your safety, and the safety of many others, depends on it." Hansu looked around the room again. Despite how alien everything was, he didn't feel scared anymore. There was something calming about the moving lights and the soft glow. Or maybe it was Commander Yuri's presence. She didn't seem threatening, even though she had basically kidnapped him. "I don't understand," he said. "What do you mean? My safety depends on it." Commander Yuri moved to the center of the room. As she did, the patterns on the walls changed, forming what looked like a map of the solar system. "There are things happening that you don't know about, Hansu Kim. Things that could change everything for your people. We are not the only ones watching Earth." The map zoomed out, showing more of space. Dark spots appeared at the edges, like holes in the starfield. Others are watching too. Others who do not have your best interests in mind. By bringing you here, we have hidden you from them. And by hiding you, we hide evidence of how far your people have come. Evidence? What evidence? You? Commander Yuri said simply. You working on a lunar mining facility. It shows that humans have mastered long-term survival in space. Some would see this as a threat. Hansu sat down on what appeared to be a chair, though like everything else in the room, it seemed to be alive, adjusting its shape to fit him perfectly. "So, you're protecting me. By kidnapping me." "Protection sometimes looks like captivity," Commander Yuri said. Her eyes shifted to a deep blue color. "I understand this is difficult to accept, but you must stay here, at least for now. The alternative would put not just you, but your entire species at risk." The map around them changed again, showing Earth. Hansu could see the mining facility on the moon, a tiny dot on the dark side. "Your people are at a crucial point in their development," Commander Yuri continued. "You are beginning to reach out into space, to establish yourselves beyond your home world. This makes you both promising and vulnerable." "How long do I have to stay here?" Hansu asked. He thought about his family back on Earth, his parents in Busan, his sister in Seoul. Would they worry about him? "That depends on many factors," Commander Yuri said. "But you will be comfortable, and you will learn much, perhaps more than any human has ever learned about the universe." She moved toward the wall, which opened again. "Rest now. When you wake, I will explain more. Your quarters have been prepared to match Earth conditions as closely as possible." Before she left, she turned back to him. "Hansu Kim, I know this seems frightening and strange, but please understand, if there was any other way to protect your people, we would have chosen it. Sometimes the kindest action looks cruel at first." The opening in the wall closed behind her, leaving Hansu alone in the room. The lights dimmed slightly, becoming softer, more soothing. Despite everything that had happened, he felt strangely calm. Maybe it was shock, or maybe there was something in the air helping him stay relaxed. He lay down on the bed, which, like the chair, adjusted to fit him perfectly. As he stared at the gently moving patterns on the ceiling, Hansu thought about everything Commander Yuri had said. He was a prisoner, yes, but a prisoner being protected from something worse. A prisoner who might learn secrets about the universe that no human had ever known. Just before sleep took him, Hansu remembered something his grandmother used to say. Sometimes the scariest path leads to the most beautiful garden. As his eyes closed, he wondered what kind of garden he would find at the end of this path. Hansu woke up to the soft sound of humming. At first, he thought he was back in the mining facility, hearing the usual sounds of the machines. Then he opened his eyes and saw the living walls with their flowing patterns of light. It hadn't been a dream after all. The room had changed while he slept. A table had grown from the floor, covered with what looked like food. There were things that looked like fruits, though their colors were strange. Purple oranges and blue apples. A glass of water sat next to them. At least he hoped it was water. "The food is safe for humans," Commander Yuri's voice came from somewhere. We studied your dietary needs carefully. Hansu sat up and looked around. Commander Yeri stood in a corner of the room, her skin glowing softly in the dim light. Today, her eyes were a deep golden color. "How long did I sleep?" he asked, picking up one of the blue apples. It felt like a normal apple in his hand. "About 8 Earth hours," she said. "Your body needed rest after the transfer to our ship. Please, eat. You'll need energy for what I have to show you." Hansu bit into the apple. It tasted sweet, but also a bit like mint. It was strange but good. As he ate, Commander Yeri walked to the center of the room. The walls around them changed again, but this time they showed what looked like a history lesson. "Your people think you are alone in the universe," she said. "This is not true. There are many species out there. Some are like us, the luminary. We watch, we learn, we try to help when we can. Others, the images on the wall change, showing dark shapes moving through space. Others are not so friendly." Hansu finished his apple and stood up. "Those dark shapes, are they the ones you're protecting me from?" "Yes, they are called the Void Hunters. They search the galaxy for developing civilizations. When they find one that might become powerful, they destroy it before it can grow strong." The images showed planets, beautiful worlds full of life, turning dark and lifeless. Hansu felt sick watching it. "How many?" he asked quietly. 17 civilizations in the last 1,000 years, Commander Yeri said. Her skin patterns turned darker, showing what Hansu guessed was sadness. "We couldn't save them all. But we can try to save Earth." "But why Earth? What makes us special?" Commander Yuri's eyes turned a bright silver color. "Your people have something rare, something the Void Hunters fear." She waved her hand, and new images appeared on the walls. They showed human history, people building things, solving problems, creating art. "You adapt," she continued. "You learn. You change. Most species follow one path as they grow. They either become fully technological, like the Void Hunters, or fully biological, like the garden mines of the spiral arm. But humans find new paths." She showed him more images. Earth cities with their mix of nature and technology. Space stations growing food in zero gravity. Solar panels next to forests. You blend the mechanical and the natural in ways we've never seen before. The Void Hunters see this as dangerous. They fear what you might become. Hansu walked around the room, looking at all the images. "So by keeping me here, you're hiding evidence that we've reached the moon." "Yes, but there's more." Commander Yeri touched one of the walls, and it opened to reveal a new room. "Come. There's someone you should meet." Hansu followed her into what looked like a control room. The walls were covered in screens showing different parts of space. In the center stood another human, a woman in what looked like a military uniform. "Hello, Hansu," she said in Korean. "I'm Captain Jae-yun. I've been working with the Luminary for the past 5 years." Hansu stared at her in shock. "There are other humans here." Jae-yun smiled. "Not many. Just a few of us who work with the Stellar Guardian Initiative. We're a secret group that helps protect Earth from threats like the Void Hunters." How did this all start?" Jae-yun walked to one of the screens and brought up some images. "In 2018, we detected something strange in deep space. Something was destroying stars. Not naturally, but deliberately. We thought it was some kind of cosmic event at first. Then we got a message from the Luminary." The screen showed a first contact scene. A small group of humans meeting with beings that looked like Commander Yuri. They warned us about the Void Hunters, showed us what happened to other worlds. We realized we needed help to survive. Since then, Commander Yuri added, "We've been working together, hiding evidence of your advanced technology, making Earth look less developed than it is. The lunar mining facility was a risk we had to take. Your people needed those minerals. But when we detected Void Hunter scouts at the edge of your solar system, we had to act quickly." Hansu sat down in one of the chairs that grew from the floor. So that's why you took me. If they had seen me working there, they would have known Earth was more advanced than we've been pretending. Jia finished. And they would have attacked before we were ready to defend ourselves. Ready? Han Su looked between them. What do you mean, ready? Commander Yuri's skin patterns began to glow brighter. Show him, she said to Jia. Jia touched several controls, and the screens changed. They showed images of something being built in secret locations around Earth. Something huge. We call it the Shield, Jia explained. It's a combination of luminary technology and human innovation. When it's finished, it will protect Earth from any attack. But it's not ready yet. We need more time. How much time? 6 months, Commander Yuri said. Maybe a year. That's why we need to keep you here. Every day we can hide Earth's true progress gives us more time to finish the shield. Han Su watched the screens, seeing humans and Luminary working together on the massive project. What can I do to help? Commander Yuri's eyes turned a warm green color. You're an engineer. You understand both the technical and the practical. We need people like you to help us combine our technologies. Will you help us? You're not really giving me a choice, are you? Han Su said, but he was smiling slightly. There's always a choice, Commander Yuri said. We could return you to Earth, hide the mining facility another way, but we hope you'll choose to stay, to be part of something bigger. Jia put a hand on his shoulder. I know it's a lot to take in. I felt the same way when I first learned about all this. But think about what we're doing here. We're not just protecting Earth. We're helping humanity take its first real steps into the galaxy. Han Su looked at the screens again, watching the shield being built. He thought about his family back on Earth, about all the families on Earth. They had no idea how much danger they were in, or how hard people were working to protect them. If I help, he said slowly, I want to learn everything. About your technology, about other civilizations, about what's really out there in space. Commander Yuri's skin patterns formed complex, beautiful designs. That was exactly what we hoped you would say. Shall we begin your first lesson? The walls of the room changed again, filling with stars and strange worlds. Han Su stood up, ready to learn. He was still technically a captive, but now he understood. Sometimes being held captive was just the first step towards something amazing. As Commander Yuri began to explain the basics of luminary technology, Han Su realized something else. The universe was much bigger and more dangerous than he had ever imagined, but it was also more wonderful. And somehow, he had become part of its greatest secrets. 1 month had passed since Han Su first arrived on the luminary ship. He sat in what they called the learning chamber, watching as Commander Yuri showed him how their technology worked. The walls around them displayed complex patterns of light that he now understood were actually mathematical equations. Your people use numbers to describe the universe, Commander Yuri explained, her eyes shifting to a teaching blue color that Han Su had come to recognize. We use light and patterns, but they mean the same thing. Han Su nodded, drawing in the air with his finger. The room's sensors picked up his movement, turning his gesture into glowing lines. So when we combine our numbers with your light patterns, the result is stronger than either alone. Jia finished, entering the room. She wore the same uniform as always, but now Han Su could see the small luminary crystal pins on her collar that marked her as a bridge between their species. Over the past month, Han Su had learned many things. He learned that the luminary didn't just look like light. They were partly made of it. Their bodies could process light the way human bodies processed food. He learned that their ships weren't built but grown, using special crystals that could think and move. But most importantly, he learned why Earth was so special. Show him the new data, Jia said to Commander Yuri. He needs to see this. Commander Yuri waved her hand, and the room filled with new images. They showed different alien species from across the galaxy. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Han Su could barely understand what he was seeing. Every species in the galaxy follows certain rules as they grow, Commander Yuri said. Like plants growing towards sunlight, they develop in predictable ways. The images change, showing how different aliens develop their technology. Most choose either machines or biology. The Void Hunters went all machine. Others, like the Garden Mines, went all biology. But humans, Jai Yun added, humans do something different. The images changed to show Earth. Han Su saw cities where trees grew on buildings, computers made with living parts, and medical devices that combined machine precision with biological adaptation. Your people take both paths at once, Commander Yuri said. Her skin patterns showed excitement. You don't see technology and nature as opposites. You blend them together. This is why the Void Hunters fear you. They can't predict what you might become. Han Su watched as more images appeared. They showed future possibilities. Things humans might create if they had the chance to develop freely. Living spaceships like the luminary vessels, but with human touches. Cities that breathed and thought while running on clean energy. People with both biological and technological improvements working together perfectly. But there's more, Jai Yun said. She pressed her hand to one of the walls, and new information appeared. Show him what we found yesterday. Commander Yuri's skin patterns turned to a color Han Su had never seen before. We discovered something unexpected. Han Su, what do you know about human creativity? Han Su thought about it. We make art, music, stories. We imagine things and then try to make them real. Yes, Commander Yuri said, but it's more than that. Watch this. The room showed a series of experiments the luminary had done. They had taken human music and played it for their living crystals. The crystals responded, growing in new and beautiful patterns. They had shown human art to their ship systems, and the ships had developed new ways of moving through space. They had fed human stories into their computers, and the computers had started asking questions they had never asked before. Your creativity, Commander Yuri said softly, it changes things. It makes other species' technology work better. It helps biological systems evolve in new ways. We don't understand how, but human ideas seem to wake up something in the universe itself. Han Su sat down, trying to take this in. Is this why you're really protecting us? Not just because the Void Hunters might attack, but because we can help you too. Jai Yun smiled. Now you're asking the right questions. Commander Yuri's patterns shifted to show honesty. Another display Han Su had learned to read. Yes, protecting Earth is our main goal. But we also hope that by working together, both our species can grow in new ways. The shield we're building isn't just a defense system. It's the first true combination of luminary light technology and human creativity. She touched the wall, and an image of the shield appeared. Han Su could now understand more of what he was seeing. The huge structure wasn't just a barrier. It was alive, growing, learning. Human ideas and luminary light working together to create something entirely new. There's something else you should know, Jai Yun said. She looked serious now. We detected more Void Hunter ships entering the solar system. They're still far out, past Neptune, but they're getting closer. Han Su felt his heart beat faster. How much time do we have? A few months, maybe less, Commander Yuri said. The shield is growing faster than we expected, partly because of what we learned from studying human creativity. But we're not sure if it will be ready in time. What happens if they reach Earth before the shield is finished? The room grew darker. Commander Yuri's patterns turned to warning colors. Then we fight. The luminary have ships hidden throughout your solar system. We can hold them off for a while, but not forever. That's why we need the shield. Han Su stood up and walked to the image of Earth floating in the room. From here, it looked so small, so vulnerable. What can I do to help? There must be something. Commander Yuri and Jai Yun looked at each other. There is, Jai Yun said, but it's dangerous. We need someone to go to the dark side of Mars. There's a luminary crystal farm there, growing the last pieces we need for the shield. But the growing patterns aren't right. We think We think it needs human creativity to fix it. You want me to go to Mars? Hansu asked, his voice quiet. You understand both our technology and human engineering, Commander Yuri said. You've learned more in 1 month than most humans learn in years. The crystal farm systems are like the ones here on the ship. You know how they work now. Hansu looked at the images floating around him. Earth in danger, the Void Hunters getting closer, the shield growing but not fast enough. He thought about his family back home, still not knowing any of this was happening. He thought about all the families on Earth, going about their daily lives, not knowing that their creativity, their human way of mixing nature and technology, might be the key to saving not just themselves but changing the whole galaxy. When do we leave? He asked. Commander Yuri's patterns showed relief and happiness. Tomorrow. I will take you there myself. Jai Yun will coordinate from here with the SHIELD construction teams. As they began planning the Mars mission, Hansu realized something important. He wasn't really a captive anymore. He was a partner in something amazing. His prison had become a school, teaching him secrets about the universe that most humans couldn't even imagine. And soon, he would be the first human to set foot on Mars, not as an explorer or a colonist, but as someone trying to save his whole species. The thought scared him, but it also filled him with a strange kind of joy. This was what humans were good at, after all, taking scary situations and turning them into chances to create something new. Commander Yuri must have sensed his feelings, because her patterns shifted to show encouragement. Remember, Hansu, she said softly, it was human creativity that made all this possible. Your people's special gift of mixing different things together in new ways. Now you get to use that gift to help save everything. Hansu nodded, watching as the room filled with plans for their Mars mission. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new dangers, and new chances to prove why humans were worth protecting. He was ready. The surface of Mars stretched out before Hansu like an endless red desert. He stood in the luminary crystal farm, a huge dome filled with growing crystals that looked like frozen light. Commander Yuri stood beside him, her skin patterns glowing brighter to help them see in the dim light of the Martian evening. The crystals aren't growing right, she said, walking to one of the larger crystal clusters. They should be forming shield patterns, but something is wrong. Hansu looked carefully at the crystals. After 2 months of learning about luminary technology, he could now see what she meant. The light inside the crystals moved in confused patterns, like a river that couldn't decide which way to flow. They need direction, he said slowly, thinking about what he had learned. Like plants growing toward sunlight, but they're looking for something else. Something human. Commander Yuri's eyes turned a hopeful green color. Yes, we think they need human creativity to show them how to grow. But we don't know exactly how to make that happen. Hansu walked among the crystal gardens. The dome protected them from Mars' harsh environment, but he could still see the red planet's surface through the clear sections above. 2 moons hung in the sky, looking like small stars. Tell me again about how human creativity affects your technology, he said, touching one of the smaller crystals gently. Human ideas wake something up in the universe, Commander Yuri explained. When we played human music to our crystals back on the ship, they grew in new ways. When we showed them human art, they learned new patterns. Suddenly, Hansu had an idea. What if we're thinking about this wrong? We're trying to make the crystals grow the way you want them to grow. But humans don't work that way. We mix things together, remember. We find new paths. He walked to the control panel near the center of the dome. Can we change how the dome's systems work? Not just the crystal growing parts, but everything. Commander Yuri's patterns showed curiosity. Yes, but what are you thinking? Humans don't just create art or music or stories, Hansu said, starting to work on the controls. We create environments. Ecosystems. We mix technology and nature together. What if instead of trying to make the crystals grow in straight lines for the shield, we let them grow like a forest? Commander Yuri's eyes widened. A forest. But the shield needs to be structured, organized. Earth's forests are organized, Hansu said, getting excited. They're just organized in a different way. Trees work together, share resources through root systems. What if we could make the shield work like that? Not just a wall, but a living system. He kept working on the controls, using everything he had learned about luminary technology. Commander Yuri watched, her patterns showing both worry and hope. There, Hansu said finally, I've changed the dome's systems to mimic Earth's forests. The temperature will shift like it does in nature. The light will change like sunlight through leaves. The crystals can share energy like trees share nutrients. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the crystals began to glow in new ways. They started growing not in straight lines, but in natural curves and spirals. They connected to each other, sharing light and energy, just like trees in a forest. It's working, Commander Yuri whispered, her patterns showing amazement. They're growing faster than ever before. But will they work for the shield? Before Hansu could answer, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed across the dome's ceiling. What's happening? Hansu asked, running back to the control panel. Commander Yuri's patterns turned to warning colors. Void hunters. They've entered the inner solar system. They're moving faster than we expected. A screen appeared in the air, showing Jai-yun back on the luminary ship. Multiple void hunter vessels detected, she reported quickly. They'll reach Mars in 6 hours, Earth in less than a day after that. The shield isn't ready, Commander Yuri said, her patterns showing fear for the first time since Hansu had met her. Even with the crystals growing faster, we need more time. Hansu looked at the growing crystal forest around them. An idea was forming in his mind, a very human idea. Maybe we don't need the shield to be finished, he said slowly. Commander, you said human creativity changes how things work, makes them do new things. What if we use what we have differently? He pointed to the crystal forest. Look how they're growing. Not in a wall, but in a network, like tree roots underground. What if instead of trying to build a shield around Earth, we build a network through space, connect all the crystals we already have? Commander Yuri's patterns shifted rapidly as she thought about this. You mean link all our crystal farms together? The ones here, the ones in the asteroid belt, the ones hidden around Earth. Yes, Hansu said, like a forest spreading its roots. The void hunters expect a wall. They won't expect a living network. Jai-yun's voice came through again. It could work. The void hunters' weapons are designed to break through barriers, but a spreading network, growing and changing like a forest. They've never seen anything like that. Commander Yuri moved quickly to the controls. We'll need to modify all our systems. Change everything to work like this crystal forest. Hansu, help me. You understand how Earth's forests work. They worked fast, sending new instructions to every crystal farm in the solar system. Hansu showed them how to make the crystals grow like plants, spread like roots, share energy like trees in a forest. It wasn't what the luminary had planned for the shield, but it was something new, something that combined their light technology with Earth's natural systems. 5 hours later, they felt the first tremors. The void hunters had reached Mars. Look, Commander Yuri said, pointing up through the dome. The sky had changed. The crystal network was spreading through space, visible as delicate lines of light connecting Mars to the asteroid belt, to Earth's moon, to hidden stations all through the solar system. It looked like a glowing web, or like roots of light spreading through the darkness. They're here, Jai-yun reported. On the screen, they could see the void hunter ships, huge, dark shapes that seemed to eat the light around them. The void hunters fired their first shot at Mars, but when their energy weapon hit the crystal network, something amazing happened. Instead of breaking, the network absorbed the energy. Like a forest absorbing sunlight, the crystal web took in the attack and spread it through its system. It's working better than we planned, Commander Yuri said, her patterns showing joy. The network isn't just blocking them. It's using their own energy against them. The Void Hunters fired again and again. Each time, the crystal forest absorbed the energy, grew stronger, spread further. The dark ships tried to push through, but the network of light kept them back. Finally, after what seemed like hours, the Void Hunter ships began to retreat. They had never seen a defense like this before, not a barrier to break through, but a living system that adapted and grew stronger with each attack. "They're leaving the solar system," Jai-Yun reported. Her voice was filled with relief and happiness. Han-Su watched through the dome as the dark ships disappeared into space. The crystal network still glowed above them, spreading its roots of light through the solar system. It wasn't the shield they had planned to build, but it was something better, something that showed what humans and Luminary could create together. Commander Yuri turned to him, her patterns showing more colors than he had ever seen before. "You were never really our captive," she said softly. "You were our teacher. We needed you to show us a new way of thinking." Han-Su smiled, looking up at the glowing web that protected his solar system. "And you showed me that sometimes the best way to protect something is to help it grow." Above them, Earth shone like a blue jewel in the black sky, now safely wrapped in a network of living light. The crystal forest would keep growing, keep changing, keep protecting. It was not just a shield anymore. It was the first step toward a new kind of future, where human creativity and alien light worked together to create things no one had ever dreamed possible. And it had all started because an alien had taken him captive, not to hurt him, but to show him how much bigger the universe could be.